Today's presentation is basically the SOP. Why are we discussing the SOP today? Because this is one aspect of an application that's not typically found in most domestic university applications. Like majority of the universities in India look at your CGPA from undergrad or your high school. Most of them look at your entrance exams, the various entrance exams that you take. A lot of them look at even your recommendation letters or your past research work, but very few of them in India would expect you to write an SOP. So the SOP is a very unique document to studying abroad in countries like in most other English speaking countries. So today's presentation is about the SOP, and usually I find that the students get nervous around the SOP because it's, we don't come from a culture where we talk about ourselves. In India, the less we talk about ourselves, the better, because we are expected to conform so much that we hardly ever put our best foot forward, right? But in the US, that is not so. In many other English-speaking countries, that is not so. You are expected to put your best foot forward. You're expected to basically market yourself. And your SOP is your opportunity to market yourself. Most universities receive thousands of graduate applications, right? Out of that, universities may select anything from 15% to 75% of their applicants. So what I'm saying is acceptance rates at MS and PhD programs vary from university to university, and acceptance rates range from 15% of the applicants to 75% of the applicants, depending on various programmatic priorities. Now, given that there is such a latitude in acceptance rates, how are you going to distinguish yourself from other applicants? People who apply to US universities, UK universities, Canada, Australia, wherever you may apply, we be applying, are applying from all over the world. So I often tell my students, you need to get out of the frog in the well mentality and put on a global thinking hat, because right now you are playing in the global field. You are no more, it is not anymore enough to be the best candidate in your class or the best candidate in your college or even the state for that matter. You need to think larger and larger and larger and position yourself in a larger scheme of things from applicants around the world, right? So just want to put that in perspective to begin with. So we are entering a very, very competitive playing field. While your CGPA and your GRE scores are a very important factor in your application, there may be many students who score the exact same GRE score as you. There may be many students whose GPA is very similar to yours, and many of their transcripts may translate into exact same equivalency to US education. So how do you distinguish yourself from any other candidate? And your SOP is literally your opportunity to speak with your unique voice to the admissions committee. Be prepared to tell the admissions committee your personal story of how you have evolved as a researcher or a professional or a student or an academic. How have you evolved? And how at this point in your life, the best thing you can do for yourself is take up graduate studies. Right? So the SOP is literally your opportunity to sell yourself to the admissions committee among hundreds of others who may have GPAs and scores very similar to yours. So you don't want to become a flower on the wall, right? You want to be able to project your candidacy as better than anybody else's candidacy. Now that said, how do you make yourself better than anybody else when you don't know who else is applying? Even though it's a very good question, and you should ask yourself that. You don't know who else is applying. So in part we are applying blind, right? We don't know who else is there in that playing field. So how do we know what I need to put on my SOP that's better than someone else? Now this is when I always tell my students, at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is to be better than your own self. So to do that, you need to first start by thinking very critically about yourself, your strengths and your weaknesses. Be honest with yourself, and that honesty will translate into your SOP in a manner that stands out and reflects your true potential. And that is what we want to see. So when you're critical of yourself, we want to see that you are having personal insights. And I say personal insight because I often find students, they've done 8 projects, 9 projects in their undergraduate studies, and in their SOP is nothing but a list and a brief description of all the 9 projects that they've done. Admissions committee understands that students go through a process of discovery, and in order to discover themselves, they may be dabbling in many things, important and some less important. For you, the focus should be on understanding how you have evolved as an academic or a student or an individual or a professional out of these projects. What were you like before and what were you like after? How have these projects helped you hone in on your passion? And without passion, I'm afraid it will be very difficult for your statement of purpose to stand out. Right? So we want to see that passion come out in your statement of purpose, and the passion should reflect your exposure, your experience, and everything that you have learned, and your enthusiasm to move forward in this world and push the world forward ahead and advance the particular field that you want to distinguish yourself in. Right? So we want to work on your personal insights.
Thank you so much for listening to us. Do comment your opinions down below. Also, if you find it useful and relevant, do subscribe to our channel as well. For more details, feel free to get in touch with us.